Welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide with your host, Mariana Cooper, founder of Aha Moments International and AhaMomentsWorld.com. Tune in for the next hour and learn to trust your aha moments to lead the way to live a passionate and purposeful life. And now here's your host, Mari.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aha Moments Radio Show for the inspiration, education, and celebration of enlightened living worldwide. I'm Mari, and Happy New Year. I can't believe it. It took us this long to get back on the air from mid-December. So we've had a nice long break, and there's been a tremendous amount of things going on, and on this side of the fence, and I'm sure for you as well. But we are back, and I'm very excited about all the announcements that we have today. We are going to be doing our big show on off-the-charts manifesting with multidimensional energy today. And this is probably going to be, for some of you, the most woo-woo you've ever heard me be on the show. I try to keep things kind of tame here because it is our kind of entry point into the AHA Global community. And, but as I've been living through my own traumas and dramas and highs and lows and all the things that life brings your way, it's hit me right between the eyes more and more and more that if you don't have the big picture, doing all these little tactics like vision boards and affirmations and, hot salt baths and all these things as one-off tactics, you're not going to get very far. So, it's very easy to do that because people like to dabble. They like to dabble in this stuff. They like to, listen to The Secret and, kind of operate it like it's a magic trick. And, okay, well, if I just focus, if I do a visioning session, this is going to pop up. And sometimes you get what I call beginner's luck, and you do. But for the most part, what happens is you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but you don't have a rhyme or reason, and you start to ultimately doubt yourself and doubt the process and doubt that any of this exists. And, a lot of people are very jaded. And so I decided, as I went through my own, like I said, trials and tribulations and some real up-leveling in the last 6 months or so, I realized that I really had to, for myself, connect all the dots for things to really come to fruition. And and I always like to teach what I, live in my own life because I've vetted it out and I kind of know what works and what doesn't. Also, I can relate to a lot of what people are going through because when you're a leader or a teacher, as many of you are who listen to our shows, you're always put through more tests, always. I did 10 readings yesterday, I think. I don't know. It was a long day. And private coaching clients and stuff, and I think we have another 10 this week. And everybody is a leader, in some way, shape, or form. And so the stuff that we're going through is the stuff that pioneers go through. If you're a leader of leaders, you're a pioneer. And you are a lot of times blazing paths that other people haven't gone down or blazing a path that's off the beaten path, So it's really important that you have the big picture and you know all of the tools that are available to you. Now, I'm going to go through some of those tonight, get your whistles wet, right? Wet your whistle? Yeah, there you go. And then we have our big multi-dimensional manifesting lab course starting next week. And I was actually closing the early registration for that course. You save $50 if you registered before now. I was closing that yesterday, and then it hit me that we're doing this show today, and so I'm going to leave that open for one more day. And if you want to participate in that class, it's 4 weeks. It's actually going to be a live stream, so we're going to be doing it on video. wonderful for me. I can't sit here in my pajamas and ponytail. I have to put makeup on for you guys and all that stuff. But we are going to be doing it on video. It'll be on Wednesdays, 4 Wednesdays, starting next Wednesday, from 4 p.m. Eastern. No, not 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, because I'm in California, to about 5:15, 5:30, somewhere between 75 and 90 minutes, depending on how many questions and things we get. But this class is going to be kind of different than anything I've taught before because it's the most advanced stuff. We are going to go really into the whole picture, not leaving anything out. And we're going to be working with some of the most powerful manifesting guides there are. The number one guide being Merlin, who is the alchemist, is a very well-known alchemist. And that energy, his energy, has been coming through in my channeling sessions for myself. And I've been getting some insanely amazing guidance, very accurate, very powerful, very counterintuitive in many ways. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with those who are ready for it. So, and who feel like it resonates with them. And I said, this is an advanced class. And when I say advanced class, what I mean is that it's for those people who are ready to go beyond, kind of the snack pack spirituality stuff that's out there. A little this and a little bit of that, and a little dabble here and a little dabble there. If you want to know the whole picture, this is a class for you. So if you'd like to take that class, the way that we're going to do this, because I put it together so fast and we did not put up a web page for it. It's been kind of a private, exclusive thing to our community if you're on my email list. So there's 2 ways that you can get the link, and I'll forward you the email with all the information about the class and all that stuff, but all the details. But the 2 ways you can get that link are to send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com and just say, please send me the information, or join our mailing list at at theahaway.com, our new website, the AHA-Way, WAY.com. And I will be sending out one more email with the podcast that we're doing right now and the link and all of the details. And so we're going to do for 24 hours. I'm just going to keep it open, that, discount open for 24 hours. And then I'm going to close the class because we already have a lot of people registered, but I hadn't announced it on the show. So I want to be fair and do that. So and I'll talk more about the class a little bit later in the show, but I just wanted to say that at the top of the show, so as you're listening, I'm going to be saying a bit, but we're going to have 4 weeks together, and you are going to be able to bring whatever that thing or situation is to class, and you're going to work on it with me for 30 days. So 30 days is a really good time frame to start seeing things shift, depending on how consistent you are. But it's a really, really good time frame. So we're going to do this for 30 days, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's a lot of power behind this, and I don't mean to kind of go up, but there are some videos also on YouTube. I put up a YouTube channel. God help me. Oh my God, there's so much work, you guys. It's insane. Don't ever do this business. I'm just kidding. If you guys want a business like this, knock yourselves up, but just be prepared. So anyway, I shot a few videos. Not a lot up there yet, but I didn't realize I was putting together a video channel. I just kept uploading them, and then people started subscribing to them. Like, what are they subscribing to? And I guess I have a channel now. Anyway, it's the AHA Way on YouTube. And so there's a video invitation to this course on there, and then there's another video that I did the other night that was kind of channeled to me, so I did that on there about the class, and it's about infinite possibilities or something like that. I forget the title of it. But anyway, that's up there as well, so if you want to learn more about it. That's probably the most work I've put into doing one of these classes, because Merlin is so all over me, and it is such a time. It's the time for this stuff, I was interviewed on a show a few weeks ago, and it was all about, our outlook for 2016. And the guys were coming through like gangbusters, and in 2016 we were going to have, this is our year of integration. So we had all of this craziness happening to us through 2012 and 2013, when all the energetic grid change and all these big, shifts, and, the everybody's afraid of Armageddon and all this other stuff. So we had this huge, energy shift, and we kind of got all this new downloads. It's almost like everyone's cell phones changed and the tower changed, but everybody thought they were still using their own phone. They were old phones. So, of course, it was just raw energy all over the place. And then it started to refine itself in 2014 and 2015. And this year, 2016, for all you guys who are leaders and leaders, light workers, whatever you want to call yourself, seers, sensitive, this is our year. And I'm not saying that to be rah-rah. It's the truth. It is the year of integration. It is the year of you letting things in. It's a year of dropping away anything that is extraneous. And the stuff is going to come up really fast. If you're in my class, the stuff is going to be coming up really fast, right in your face. Because as you employ these high-level pieces and you connect the dots and you really turn on your manifesting engines, which we're all born with, by the way. We're all doing it anyway. Might as well do it for the positive and with some focus and direction. What you'll see is that all your stuff, that any block that you have, is going to flare right up in your face, and you're going to be able to handle it. And then it moves away, and you don't feel like you have to revisit it again. A lot of times you keep revisiting things over and over again, But this new energy, this 2016 energy, is softer. It's more integrated. It's like the figure eight, but now we have both rings and the connectors in between. And so the energy is really going to flow all the way through. It's not one of those hard, trudgy, crazy years. So, I was just getting a little channeled message in my ear here, and I was like, what are you saying? What are you saying? I'm talking. Can you see I'm talking? I know I sound schizophrenic, but I'm not. I'm just trying to pay attention to everything that's going on, especially since this energy is so powerful on this call today. So anyway, so that's the class. We'll talk more about that in a second when we get on to our topic for tonight. I just wanted to give you a couple more announcements. So my book, The Aha Factor, has been born. It is now in stores worldwide. We had our publication date last Tuesday and Thursday. So it was Tuesday in the U.S. It dropped in the U.S. in stores all across America. And then on Thursday, it dropped internationally, so in the UK and, all the other countries, and internationally. And so it's also on Amazon UK for those of you who are ordering online, internationally, and then Amazon.com. Actually, it sold out yesterday on Amazon.com, and I think they restocked a little bit, so they have a few more copies. And many of the bookstores have gone through the copies they had. So I'm stunned. I was excited because I didn't even talk about it on the show until now, and I just put up a little, blurb about it on my Facebook pages, and it was just like, all the gates opened up. So that's really exciting. I am over the moon about this book, and like I said, it's called The Aha Factor: How to Use Your Intuition to Get What You Desire and Deserve. And for all of the listeners and all of my friends who over the years have told me, Mari, can you put all this stuff you talk about in one place? This is the book. It's, my publicist said, this is like a textbook, but it really is front to back, everything that you need to get fluent in the language of your intuition. And for me, what was really important with this was to apply it to attaining whatever dreams and desires you have. Those are my two passions. One is intuitive fluency, being fluent in the language of your intuition, and the other is doing whatever you want whenever you want. Really living in your passion, getting your work out to the world, getting your gifts out to the world. One of those stories I always tell is, in my late 20s, my fiancé passed away, and I was devastated, obviously. And I remember he was very, very talented. He was a director and a dancer, and he wrote lyrics, and he was a choreographer, and It was amazing. And so I just remember standing at the funeral. It was a very poignant time, where you just, you have that moment. And I'm looking out at the cemetery, at all those headstones, and I remember thinking, how rich is this graveyard? Like, how rich is this soil with all the dreams that have gone intact here? And that, for me, was a turning point in my life and career, and it made me really go on a quest to help people get their work out to the world, and to just send whatever is left of you into the grave empty, And so I went on a quest. I was in film. I did entertainment marketing and helping independent producers get their movies up. I, did a lot of film financing. I was really into helping artists get their stuff and new producers get their independent films. I executive produced some independent film, and then that sort of evolved into helping entrepreneurs and a lot of consulting and all that type of thing. And simultaneously, I realized that in order to do that, in order to find that passion, follow that passion, bring that passion to fruition, you have to get really, really, really fluent in your intuition. Why? Because you're going off the beaten path. You are a creator. When you are kind of reaching into the backpack that God gave you with the gift in it, I think I heard Steve Harvey use that analogy the other day, and I was like, okay, Steve, I'm stealing that one. That's a great way to say it. We all are born with our, a gift within us, which I've always said, but I loved his little backpack analogy. In order to reach in and pull that gift out and to do something that feels really different than other people, in your own uniqueness, you have to go off the beaten path. And so when you go off that beaten path, you need guidance. If you try to turn to people who are on the beaten path, they're not going to be able to give you the guidance, and then a lot of times it's going to scare them, and they're going to try to get you to be, quote, normal. So the way that you combat that is to become really fluent in your intuition and step into the energetic aspect of you. And when you do that, between the intuitive skills, which is what the book is about, and then I'm kind of moving on into teaching the multidimensional manifesting skills, which is the advanced version of the book. So it's actually a continuation of the book. I'll probably, if I ever write a book again, it'll probably be about that. I keep saying I'm never going to write another book again because it was just like 8 years ago. Oh, my God. It wouldn't take me 8 years to write the next one, but I'm still a little, shell-shocked. But in any event, this multidimensional manifesting stuff is kind of the back end of the intuitive fluency stuff. So now we're kind of getting the whole scope. And when you do that, and none of this is super hard, it just requires a sense of paying attention and a willingness to look at things from a different viewpoint and actually receive and accept those viewpoints and not step into skepticism and, all of that stuff. Now, all those blocks that keep you from getting what you want. So anyway, the book, The Aha Factor, available now everywhere. And next week, we are going to have a live stream. It was actually going to be, next week we're going to have a live stream about that as well. Kind of like a book launch party, and I'm going to be doing, some teaching and stuff. And I also created an online course for the book. And the first chunk of it is free. So the first, I think it's like a mini course. So that's going to come available next week as well. So next week is a big, big book launch week, but I wanted to let you guys know about it today. And I'm very, very excited about it, very proud of it. We've got some press going. I've been in a couple magazines overseas in London, and there'll be some here, and been getting all kinds of interview requests and everything. So my schedule is kind of like blowing up. So this is all fun. This is all terrific, and I'm very excited about that. All right. So we talked about the class and the book, and now I want to get into our content for tonight. I see there's so many of you on the lines already calling in. You missed me. I'm so excited. The number to call in if you want to ask a question a little bit later is 347-215-9485. It's 347-215-9485. And also one other thing, If you do have the book already and you read it and you like it, would you please, please, please put a review on Amazon for me? That would really, really help us out a lot and help everybody else out to get, a take on what you felt, how you felt the book was for you and any kind of insights that you received from it. So I greatly appreciate that. Okay, so that being said, let's get into our manifesting energy, our multidimensional manifesting energy. This is my favorite upon favorite times infinity things to talk about. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so it's so hard to take something that's so big and make it into some sort of linear process because it's really a non-linear process. But I'm going to do my best so that for the sake of clarity so you can follow along. But just know, I'm going to preface this with, as I talk about this, you're going to get one piece of it, you may not get another piece of it. You may get another dot of it, you may not get something else, okay? That's okay because it all kind of goes in a circle anyway. So you'll start where you are with what resonates with you. Okay, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot, especially if you're in my classes and stuff. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. People want the step-by-step guarantee of what's going to happen to them and how it's going to happen, and the how gets everyone in trouble, and their circumstances, the how and the circumstances, what their current circumstances are doing, and how to do something. And those two things are kind of, the enemy of this work. So whatever piece seems to sort of flare up and resonate for you, start there. Okay? It doesn't necessarily have to go in a particular order, but I'm going to try to talk you through it in an order so our mental minds can kind of grasp it. Okay. So the first thing is, when we're talking about multidimensionality, okay, one of the hardest things for spiritual teachers to do is to be very much aware of the energetic side of things, but try to teach people who are very much ingrained in the physical side of things how to receive it and accept it so it will work. And so what I want to do start off with first is helping you to reorient yourself to the truth of who you are. Okay, that might sound a little woo-woo, but I warned you in the description of this class that's where we're going anyway. So the truth of who you are is this. Yes, you have, bones and marrow and ligaments and all that, but bigger than any body part or even your whole body put together is your energy. And we are all these enormous balls of energy. So you can think of this ball of energy like the size of the planet Earth. And within that energy, you take on experiences, okay? Your big infinite energy, and that's what I'm going to refer to it as, your infinite energy, or your, people call it the higher self, your greater self, all of that. But your infinite energy chooses to take on physical bodies to have a physical, tangible experience, okay, to learn lessons, to ascend further, to develop itself further. I'm not going to get too advanced, but I just want you to think for now of this big ball of energy, of yourself as this big ball of energy. Just by thinking of that in your mind, turning yourself into light, a big giant ball of energy, and then your current body is a symbol by comparison to this ball of energy that's the size of the planet Earth. That's how little. So a piece of that big giant ball of energy sort of descends into this body to have a physical experience. It can do all the tangible things that as energy it cannot do. Okay? So that vessel for me is named Mari, for Sam is named Sam, for this particular lifetime and this particular vessel for my energy to experience. Now, most people stop there when we explain that because that's where the majority of people can handle thinking about. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense, yeah, because now I have this big vessel of energy, this big ball of energy, that's me, the energetic aspect of me, that's inhabited this small body to have a physical experience as a lifetime named Mari or as a lifetime named Sam or Katie or whatever. The next stage of that, though, there's got to be a way to communicate between those two versions of you, right? Both are versions of you. There's a portion of your energy that's hanging out in the body, and then the majority of your energy is not. And so the language that swings between those two portions of you, the big ball of energy version of you and the physical version of you, is the language of intuition. So when you have an aha moment, it's when your consciousness and your physicality French kiss. Okay? See, sex gets everybody to understand everything. No, but seriously, that's kind of what happens, because you set an intention from your physical body, from your physical mental mind, okay, and you send it out into your greater consciousness. So when I say consciousness, I'm talking about your bigger energetic version of you. When I say your mental mind, I'm talking about what's happening in the confines of your body. And that little pendulum that has a little basket on it swings from inside the physical version of you, and you set your intentions and say, hey, bigger version of me, I need some help with this. And it sort of makes it out of the fortress of your four quadrants of your mind and off into the infinite nature of your multidimensional self. And you literally, when you send that intention out into the bigger version of you, you are sending it into an infinite catalog of possibility. So it's literally like you make a request, let's say on your vision board, okay, because that's what we've been taught as physical beings, to help us to sort of start to assimilate the idea that we can focus on things and somehow they can manifest in our world through the law of attraction and whatever. So we took that little piece of it, and then we just stare at this thing, we say affirmations, and we get happy about it, and it's going to create. That really is you putting that, whatever you're putting on that vision board is going into that little basket of intention. You're sending it out to you, the bigger version of you, the energetic version of you, and that energetic version of you is conjuring up the process of getting that to you. Okay? It's creating in that energy. And so it's a catalog of potentials. And it's an infinite number of potentials. Okay? So here's where I'm going to keep asking the guys, are you sure you want to go jump off the cliff with this? And they're like, yep, go for it. So I'm just going to say it. That version of you, that one thimble, there's an infinite number of thimbles as well. So there's not just one thimble in this big giant ball of energy. You got lots of thimbles going on at the same time. The one that you're in right now, you're listening to this show, is the version of you where you're listening to this show. There's other versions of you that are a bag lady or a bag man. There's other versions of you that are a doctor. There's versions of you poor. There's versions of you wealthy. That's part of your own personal infinite catalog of possibilities. Okay? What you have in this vessel here as your physical self is something called free will and choice. And so every outcome that you would like to see or not like to see exists in this bigger field of you. So when you start trying to manifest something, it's not a wish. It's not something that has to sort of, like magic sort of poof into your world. When you make a choice about something you desire, let's say you want, I'm going to be very tactical here, let's say you want a new house. When you choose, I want a new house, the house doesn't have to kind of be built in the universe and all this. There's already a version of you who lives in that house. So what you're doing in the true manifesting, when you really know, this is what's really happening, waiting for, this wish to be granted from some being outside of you, what you're really doing is choosing the dimension of you, the version of you that already lives in that house. Because that version of you already exists. So nothing really creates from scratch. What we're doing, and this is called parallel dimensions, parallel realities, is what we're doing is we're just switching to the symbol where we live in that house. Now, if you start to waffle back and forth, and it seems like the house is coming, and then you don't get the mortgage, and the house isn't coming, and then you do, it's because you're making decisions to switch to, when you doubt, you start to sort of flitter between different symbols, the version of you that didn't get the house, the version of you that got the house, the version of you that got the house, lost the house. There's all of those little, microscopic versions, aspects of you exist simultaneously. Every time you think about something like an EKG machine, you literally are choosing an outcome. You're choosing. Whatever you focus on creates. Now, it's not really creating. It's really whatever you focus on, you're choosing that. And that bigger ball of energy is like, okay, she's making that choice because her focused attention is on worst case scenario. So those are available in the catalog of infinite possibility. So that's what she's creating, and that's what we have to go with. Not that they particularly want you to go with that, but that's, you're going to get a pretty, valid experience even if you choose the worst case scenario for yourself, because maybe sometimes you choose that for yourself. You go through hard times because it's an acceleration for you to even, say, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And then you end up listening to a show like this and you start to learn the missing pieces. Okay? So now this is very advanced in some ways, but it's the most basic in reality because it's how it really works. And what we're doing when we don't know this and we're just focusing on the vision board is we let our circumstances and our world dictate how we feel, which also gets us into trouble because your circumstances, whatever you're going in your world, you have to pay your bills and you're raising your kids and, you're dating whoever you're dating and all these things, all that going on in your world, whatever those situations and circumstances are a reflection of what your thoughts have been over the last 60 to 120 days. Okay? So they're kind of like whatever circumstances you're living in right now are the residue or the outcome of the past thoughts, so the past choices you had been making. So as you go forward, if you want a different circumstance to show up, then you make a different choice in that catalog. Now, can we teach you every single little piece of how to do that today in this show? No. Is it spinning and bending your mind a little bit? Yeah. That's, it is mind bending because we're so conditioned to think linear. Okay? But if you think about it, when you're working with parallel realities, you can mix and match. You can, have you ever had a day where you've been focusing on something that you really want and then you get all these signs saying, yes, it's coming, and then you're like, oh, but, last time it didn't, and then all of a sudden the signs stop and then something not so good happens, and then you're like, wow, I knew that wasn't going to work, and you start to go down the rabbit hole. Well, guess what you're doing? You're choosing from the catalog. It's like you're taking a catalog and running your fingers, like the Victoria's Secret catalog or the old Sears catalog. That's really dating myself. You're running your fingers through the catalog, and you're saying this and 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 this. And if you're not aware that you're choosing thing by thing by thing by thing by thing, it can get very upsetting. You can feel like you don't have any power at all. So, but let's talk about what can happen when you do harness this power. When you do harness this power and you get some practice at it, I'm not saying it happens overnight, and you start to, and nobody's ever perfect. You don't have to be perfect at this stuff for it to work in your favor. Yeah, I say 50%, and you're starting to see some really nice results. So you get to 60, 70% miracles that are happening. You don't have to be perfect. Just your awareness is going to really help things shift for you because you'll be able to self-correct. Life is self-correcting. You'll be able to self-correct as you go. You'll be able to say, you know what? I just had a really dark thought. Okay, I'm going to sort of cancel. I'm going to choose a different thought. Now, it might not show up in my circumstances right before my very eyes this minute, but at least I know that I'm making that choice in that infinite catalog of possibility for a different possibility to show up. I'm giving it permission to show up. That's all it needs. Okay? Now, this type of thought process, this type of way of being, and when you tap into this multidimensional energy, it goes beyond houses and cars and bills and lotteries and all that. It can also help you with aspects of people and relationships that you're in. So, you're interested in this person, this guy or gal, and you're having a hard time getting their attention. You can go into meditation and envision the version of them where they're very attentive and choose to interact with that version of them and watch their behavior shift. I've seen it over and over again. I never asked you to do anything I haven't done myself. And that was really mind-bending to me because I've always been like, oh, well, you can't impose yourself on somebody else's free will. If you start thinking of a person doing what you want versus what they want, it's not a matter of free will. It's a matter of choosing the multidimensional version of them that is congenial with you. Okay? And this stuff works. I've been working with my private clients. This is what I do in my mentorship, a lot of my mentorship clients with my more advanced folks. And it's amazing. It's not working just for me. I'm watching it all over. And it's amazing how my whole family, when I started doing this, my entire, what my relationship with my family is today versus what it was 18 months ago, it's almost like everybody got reborn. Because I started to shift my focus to making a choice that I was like, okay, I'm going to have the version of them where we're all congenial with each other and all that show up versus constantly trying to force people to behave differently in one current linear line. Okay? So I'm not going to get too much further into this because I know it'll get confusing and it's hard when you have a short period of time like this. I just wanted to sort of wet your whistle and pique your curiosity, bend your mind a little bit, and help you to start to say, and notice. Just notice. Because here's the thing. All of these things that I'm talking about are happening whether you like it or not, believe it or not. You can choose the version of you that you get a good result from this, and you can choose the version of you that doesn't get a good result from this. This is all choice. Okay? It's not chance. So I want you to switch. If you remember anything from this call, I want you to start to shift from chance to choice in your head. Every time you say, oh, well, maybe there's a chance, it's like, okay, I'm making a choice. Because no matter what, you are. And there's a purpose for every single thing on that spectrum, from the worst case scenario all the way to the best case scenario, or what you would label the best case scenario. Because when we're choosing hard things, you're in a car accident, you hurt yourself, you're sick, whatever. When you're choosing those things, even, subconsciously, or you end up in those kinds of circumstances, there's some kind of catalyst that's there to help you to choose better. You can choose healing. You can choose the version of you that's already healed. So instead of trying to force in this one, if you just had one version of you, one person, and that person was sick and you're trying to force that healing, gotta heal. Instead, you can say, okay, I'm going to focus on being the person that's already healed, because there's an aspect of me in that infinite catalog of possibility. There's a version of me that doesn't have this. I've done this. I have had eczema on my neck, and I said, okay, I'm going to play with this. And I went into the version of Mari that didn't have eczema on her neck, and it was gone in 2 days. And so I've done it with, minor things. I'm lucky because I don't have major health issues. But, I know people who have, and they do this, and they've had some big healings as well. So there is a version, a completely, perfectly healthy version of you. And you can make that choice. That can go for, weight loss. It can go for a lot of different things. And we're all going to have our projects, right? And we're all going to try this, and we're going to waffle back and forth. And, one day it's going to feel like it's working, another day it's not going to feel like it's working. And you just have to sort of trudge along and put it into practice. Most important thing, though, is consistency and a willingness to explore this. Now where do angels and guides and all that stuff come into it? Well, they're archetypes that are here to help us to become comfortable with these concepts and ideas, to help bring opportunities to us, to help us to ask different questions, to inspire us, to help us to feel protected along our way. So, yeah, sure, you're going to call on Archangel Michael or, Saint Germain or any of these other beings. That's great. It's all part of it. But you ultimately are the one with the most amount of power and the most amount of choice. The last thing I'll say about this before we start taking some of your calls is the thing that powers these choices up is your emotion. So if you're saying, okay, I just listened to Mari on the show, okay, fine, I'm going to flip through the catalog and through possibility, and okay, now I'm really rich. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it, I'm really rich, yep, there's the version of me that's really rich. And you have absolutely no emotion, you have no connection, you have a note of sarcasm and cynicism. You didn't switch into that dimension, I can tell you that right now. You didn't switch into that version of you. But if you say, nothing ever happens for me, I'm so stressed out, it never works for me, it works for everybody else, you are choosing the version of you that doesn't, where things don't work out, and you're putting a whole lot of emotion behind it by complaining about it and hysterical about it and, churning about it. And you are solidifying that and you are accelerating that because emotion is the lighter fluid to creation. It's the lighter fluid to creation. It is the engine, okay? It's the accelerant. So if you are creating and you're stressed out, negative, and crazy about a circumstance, and I'm even talking about those circumstances, you have a hard court case or you have, bills that are due that you're worried about, or any of these things, if you're going with a tremendous amount of emotion around the negative aspect of it, you are creating with gusto the entrenchment in that you're choosing in that, category in the catalog. So the best thing for you to do in any of these circumstances is to set aside the doubts and the fears and just take a little bit of time to sit quietly, close your eyes, imagine yourself as switching into the version of you that's whatever it is that you truly want, and allowing yourself to feel how that person would feel as that choice. Okay? So you're allowing yourself to feel how you would feel as that choice. And once you do that, you're going to see you'll start to see evidence of it pretty quickly if you don't doubt. You'll start to see glimpses, and then it'll start to settle in, and you'll see more and more, and then one day you're going to say, oh, wow, I'm like fully in that space. I'm fully in that space. It's finally, that bridge, it's finally across the bridge. And then you look back at the old version of you, that old choice, and you're like, wow, I don't even know. I can't even, it's like the light in the room looks different. Like the people look different, just things look different. They feel different. The energy just feels different than it did last week when I was in that kind of other version of myself. This week things are working. Last week they weren't, So you had chosen the version of you where things are working well. So is there a lot of responsibility in this? Absolutely. Can you push this off on, someone else and someone else's fault, or it's God's fault because God skipped over you and went to the people, in Syria or whatever, and he forgot about you in Pittsburgh and all that kind of stuff. All that has to stop. And that's a lot of the other reasons why a lot of people don't like to teach this at this level, because they know that most people like to be able to blame somebody else for what's happening to them. And they want to kind of just sit there and have you wave a wand and heal. When I was a Telesummit host, and all the hosts kind of talk about this, we would watch the flow of sales of what people were buying from different, speakers. And there's a lot of trends. It's really fascinating to watch how, crowds think when they're purchasing and, when they hear a speaker or whatever. And one of the highest selling things was whenever somebody would do an activation or something where people didn't have to do anything whatsoever, and the person would just say, okay, just sit there. Okay, I'm just going to go whisper and, and then you're going to be all better. And, oh, my gosh, those packages would sell. Boom, 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 boom. Why? Because you didn't have to do anything. Just, so it got to the point where, now I'm not saying those people weren't terrific healers, because they are. I know the ones on my show certainly are. But it was very interesting that when you had a speaker who was equally as good saying, okay, here's how you do this, and here's how you take responsibility for you, people went, I don't know, I'm exhausted, I don't have time, oh, my husband, my wife, my bills, my this, my that. There was all kinds of excuses. But when it came to, okay, are you just going to, heal me? That, everybody, there's a lot of people really game for that. And so this work, this multidimensional work, this isn't about just sitting and allowing it all just to happen to you. This is about you taking some energetic, empowerment and responsibility and making some choices and giving yourself the opportunity to receive it without preempting it, without fear and all that. And are you going to have doubts and fears and confusion and stuff? Yeah. But that's why we get together as a group, and there's mentors and all kinds of things like that, so that you can sort of get the checks and balances, or you create a group with other gals and guys who are doing this stuff, and you kind of compare notes and help each other out. Okay? Nothing is meant to be done in a vacuum. That's why we have fellowship and community and all that good stuff. Okay. So play with this. Listen to the recording again. If this is intriguing to you, I'd love for you to join me in a multidimensional manifesting lab starting next week. We're going to go into this in great detail and processes and things like that make it, as linear as I can make it, without just taking away the infinite nature of things. And we'll talk a lot about the different, trials and tribulations and how to really minimize those as well as maximize your results. So I'm really looking forward to that class. I'm very, very excited about that. All right. Okay. I'm just looking at my notes here. I don't usually have notes, but today I had so much I wanted to say. So we're going to go ahead and start with some calls. And so if you are not by the phone and you need to be by the phone to talk to me, I would love to. I don't want to open the lines and then you're not there, so you can come back to the phone or wherever you are. The number to call in is 347-215-9485. And let me just get to, okay, I had to just get to Sam's page. Okay, here we go. So the first person we have is Kathy in Maryland. Hi, Kathy. You're still there? Yep, she's been holding for a long time.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just bought your book on Amazon. I think there's 7 left.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. That's awesome. Thank you for buying it. I'm so excited. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I've just announced it last week. That's just so nuts to me. What's your question? Thanks so much for buying it, too. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I think this class is for me. I feel like I'm on my spiritual journey, and I'm just, like, stuck.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why it's for you, because that's why most people show up at a class like this, is just that stuckness, because you're kind of, I can definitely feel in your energy that you're, if you're attracted to this kind of work, it's like the universe needs you as much as you need the universe, So when you get stuck like that, it's usually the impasse between the physical and the multidimensional happening. So your physical energy is sort of saying, I'm at the end of what I know how to do. And your bigger energy is pulling you forward, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Sorry about that. That's the other phone. Yeah, I just feel like I'm almost there, but how do I get there?
Well, there's not just one little magic word, I think the big thing that you're doing is allowing yourself, it feels to me like you need a good 6 months of just exploration and kind of finding your path. And it feels like you also know quite a bit, but you need more connecting the dots. So reading the book is going to help. a lot. Taking classes will help a lot. Your mental mind is just saying, when you get like that, this is for anybody listening, when you get like that where you just say, I'm stuck, it's because your mental mind is saying, I'm at the end of what I know how to do. So it's time for a feeding. You know, it's like you need to be fed. And then you say, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then you're on the path again. So I think you're on the right track, but what's the most important is that you don't judge it as, you know, cataclysmic, that you give yourself the opportunity, I would say, you know, just say questions like, what's available to me now? What do I need to know now? You know, what do I need to know next to continue going forward? And then really go to what you're most attracted to and led to. And I think you'll get there just fine. It feels like you're right on the right track.
Mhm. I'm intrigued by your class.
I'm so glad. Well, send me an email and I'll send you the link and all the information. Just send me an email at support@ahamomentsinc.com and I'll send you all the, you know, the whole description and everything.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. You are so welcome. Thanks for calling in. Have a great night. Okay, next we have Annette in Massachusetts. I believe that's Massachusetts. Is she there, Sam? Oh, no. Wait, maybe not. So we're going to go with Joanne in New York. Hi, Joanne.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. I was just wondering, I'm floundering a little bit with my job. I've been at the same job for 38 years, and I kind of feel like I'm done with it. But
kind of? Your energy is so done. Yeah, I think that would probably, go ahead. So what's your question?
Well, you know, I'm stuck right now, and I'm fearful of leaving because I don't know, you know, what else I really want to do.
Right.
And I was wondering if you have any guidance for me.
Well, it's kind of like the last caller. Allowing yourself to go into a stage of exploration is really important, and that right thing is going to shine brighter than the things that aren't right. But what you've been doing is you've been afraid to explore because you're so loyal to the job and you're worried that, you know, if you leave this, you're going to lose your security and all of those other things that go with it. But to be honest, when you let your energy go as low as it is going now because you're so bored, you're more insecure when you're that bored than you are when you're exploring something totally new that you don't have a definite outline of a path for. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open yourself up to kind of like what I was saying to Kathy is open yourself up to whatever feels light and bright to you, like whatever sort of, it just feels like, you know, there's a lot of questions you have. You know, wonder if I could try this. I wonder if that would make, and it's the way you start super easy is just Google search. You know, you don't even have to go to, you know, big retreats or all that kind of stuff. Although your angels are saying that if you did take a trip, and I don't know why I'm here, Costa Rica or someplace tropical, a little retreat, or like, you know, to Florida, someplace tropical, place near the water that's warm and tropical, and you just sort of rested, but in a different place.
Okay.
You will get a lot of insight on next steps, because if you're entrenched like you are in a routine and in a particular environment, then you kind of solidify your frequency to that frequency, and you kind of like in a genie bottle and you need to be let out. And so if you did take a trip to even, you know, Southern California or Florida or someplace close, Bahamas, whatever, since you're on the East Coast, someplace easy, someplace close, nothing, you know, you don't have to go over to, you know, Bali or anything, but if you want to, you could, but you don't have to get that advanced. I'm saying do this sooner than later. You're going to just be in a different frequency, and you're going to see if you ask the right questions, which is what is the best next step, best next choice for me now, and use a journal and just start journaling about it. First, you can journal all your fears, so you're going to get them out of let your mental mind have its way, and then you say, now I'm open. What's next? And those things are going to start to bubble up. If you feel like, more than likely when you do that, you'll be led to a class, or you'll be led to, a particular article that leads to a speaker that you just have to see. You need to follow those breadcrumbs, because that's going to lead you. But what you don't want to do is wait for an absolute, because that won't come. You have to. The way Spirit works is, you take one step. They say, okay, here's the step you take. You take that one step, and it's like, okay, here's the next one. And you take that next step, and then they say, okay, here's the next one. And then you keep doing that, and then eventually you get that line that you're looking for. But they're not going to do it like a college curriculum where they say, okay, do this, and this, and then that, and then you're guaranteed to get this at the end. That's just not how this works. Okay. And remember, and I'm going to end with this, you're always making choices along the way. So what we're talking about tonight, you can listen to the podcast again, because I know it's a little, it's like, mind-bending. But you're always making choices. So that version of you that's super happy in her new job, has tons of flexibility, and feels like effervescent, and really like a contribution, and passionate and excited, and gets great sleep and has a great lifestyle, that already exists. You're not creating something new. You're just switching gears to that person.
Okay.
So you can also,
I feel like I'm on the verge of it.
Yeah, you are, because you're already, that version of you is already loading in. You're already switching to her. That's why you asked the question. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it does.
Okay. So you're already asking the question. So just what you want to do is switch gears over to her. And but do it consciously now. Say, okay, right this minute. In fact, I want you to say it to me right now. I am now the Joanne.
I am now the Joanne.
Who is ecstatic. Who is ecstatic about what I do for a living and how
about what I do for a living and how I live.
Yep. Done.
Oh,
that's literally all it takes to shift into that gear. Okay? You've just given her permission to load in. And when you do that, you should be in my class, by the way. When you do that,
I'm going to sign up.
you load in. Okay? When you do that, you're going to load her in more, and you're going to give her the spaciousness to show you who she really is. Because we don't want to take that new Joanne and try to force fit her into the old Joanne. What we want to do is say, okay, the old Joanne she's not in this frame anymore. Okay?
Right.
The analogy that I want to help everybody with this. There's two analogies, okay? This is for everybody, so listen up. The first analogy is, remember when there used to be regular cameras without the digital part, where we had a film, we had a negative, and we had our circumstances, the way your life looks now and the old job and everything, is the print. The negative is where the picture is created, right? Because it's in the camera where the picture is created. So what most people are doing is they're orienting themselves from their print. How much can you change if the picture's already taken?
Right.
And it's printed
Makes
out.
Sense.
Okay, not like the digital cameras on Instagram where you can put a filter on everything and change it. I'm not talking about editing. I'm talking about it's already printed. If you're staring at your circumstance and it's already printed, you're staring at this past pattern, it's already printed. Or you go back to when you decide to make a change, you're not changing the print. You're going back to the negative and reshooting. You're shooting a different picture, saying, I didn't like that angle, let me take the picture again. Okay, so that's one analogy, all right? So what I'm trying to help you to do is to go from constantly staring at the print, I hate my job, I'm tired of the job, I've been here for 38 years, but I don't want to lose security, and go back to the negative and go back to that camera and say, okay, let me take a different shot. Okay?
Awesome.
That's one. Now, when we're talking about these parallel realities and these choices, okay, and these different versions of you, here's the second analogy. Everybody listen closely. It's like a film, like, when you look at a silent movie and the film was so slow you could almost see frame by frame by frame. If you look at the old Disney movies and they show how they do an animation and they draw a whole picture of Mickey with his right hand up, then they drew a whole picture of Mickey with his right hand up but a little bit over to the left, and then a little bit more and a little bit, so then it looks like he's actually moving. Yeah. When we're talking about this infinite catalog of parallel realities, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing is frame by frame by frame by frame, we're choosing. So if we had Mickey with his right hand up, and then we decided, okay, let's forget about the hand now, let's do the next frame with his left leg up, it would switch from right hand up to left leg up. That's how we make our choices. So you could be saying, oh, that was great. I switched into the extended version of me with Mari. Right hands up. And then you get off the phone, you're like, you see, layoffs across town at the other job. Oh, wow, I better stick to my job. So now you got your left leg up. We literally choose off your print. Do you see what I'm saying? You choose off the frame.
Yes,
you're choosing frame by frame by frame. And so this is really important for everybody to understand. And whether you know it or not, the reason why certain circumstances stay the same and they don't seem to move, like you have a chronic bill problem or a chronic debt problem or a chronic weight problem or a chronic boyfriend problem, whatever, it's because you keep choosing the same frame over and over and over again because you're looking at the print.
Right. It's a great analogy.
When we go into this multidimensional energy, we're going to move into the negative, meaning we're going to shoot a different shot. Okay?
Awesome.
We're going to make a different frame, so we're going to create a different animation of what our life looks like. That's what it's about.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
Awesome. So I hope that empowers you to think differently. I'm not expecting you to change overnight, but you can, and why not?
No, but
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and change.
I love what you said before about choice over chance. So I'm going to make it my choice now.
Beautiful. Absolutely. I'm very, very excited for you, and I'm excited for everybody listening. And what I'm really excited about is listening to my own guides and having the courage to kind of go off the beaten path with this stuff because I'm really tired of seeing sit and spin. A little tidbit here, a little tidbit there, and a little, let me try that little tactic. Okay, now maybe I'll hit the lottery because I took a hot salt bath. All these kinds of things. It makes me crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, you can hit the lottery, absolutely. You could create that. There's a parallel dimension where you have won the lottery. I encourage everybody to play the lottery. Don't not play the lottery. It's God's way of showing infinite abundance. Go, go, go. Buy your ticket. But, it's like saying I'm going to bake a cake, but I'm only going to use, one ingredient because I saw it on Food Network, but I'm not going to go get the rest of the recipe. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
How do you get the cake?
Exactly.
This is not Sunday go to meeting spirituality. You do this for an hour a week, and then everything in your life is supposed to change. Otherwise, the people who taught you how to do it are charlatans. It's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
It has to become integrated with your day-to-day life. And one of the other things I'll say, and it'll be the last thing I say, is your circumstances are about 0.00001% of your total reality.
Wow.
The rest of it is the energy. Your circumstances are just like a little report, like an EKG report.
Right.
So, can you go ahead?
No, I was just going to say, in my mind, it's, in probably most people's minds, it's the other way around because we're not looking at it the right way.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the point of creation and change happens in the energy, always.
Right.
The circumstances just let you know how much you move the energy. Okay. The print just lets you know how you focus the camera and what kind of aperture speed you had and what kind of light you had and did the dog sit still or not, That's all it does is it lets you capture a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to end there, but I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you'll join us in class.
Thank you so much, Mari. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling in.